Hello everyone, Richard and David here with another Ask the Lender special guest, Kathryn from Loan Depot. And Kathryn, the question today for you is closing costs. I get questions about closing costs all the time. Tell me about that.
Where they come from and why do you have it on a home loan?
That's right.
Nobody wants costs, but we have them.
Correct. Well, the costs are really items that someone needs to get paid for. And so when you're applying for a home loan and you have a home loan, there are a couple of entities, the lender and the title company, that have certain charges that they need to have covered. Now the lender has charges such as appraisal, credit, and operation costs, underwriting, processing. And then on the title company side, you have costs, how they get paid: escrow, title, recording, notary. Those are actual costs that are in the process of the home loan. Just to step away from that for a moment, is in lending now, whether it's the title company or the lender, you can't charge anything that's not going to be charged to somebody else. You just can't have an arbitrary fee.
I don't like you, you're paying more.
Correct. A PIA fee, that you can't have that, yeah. So you have the lender fees, the title company fees. And those are fees what we call non-recurring closing costs.
One-time fees.
The reason we call them that is because once you close the home loan, you don't see those costs again, so they non-recurring.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the other side of that is you have recurring closing costs. So example, when you make your house payment, it includes the property taxes and the fire insurance.
Yeah.
Right? So every month when you make your house payment, the property taxes and the fire insurance goes into a pool, an escrow account, an impound account, and it keeps accumulating so that the next time those bills are due, the lender takes the money and pays the bills. But when we're setting up the loan, we establish a reserve account, and those are the recurring closing costs as well. So we're going to take a certain amount of property taxes, a certain amount of homeowners insurance, and we're also going to collect that for the escrow account. Those are recurring because you will always have those recurring costs.
Yep. Gotcha. Unfortunately, they never go away.
Yes.
That brings up a question. Buyer comes in and says, I have my down payment, but I don't have my closing costs. So me and David say, well, yeah, we could write it up and we could ask the seller for it. About how much, let's just say average cost here in Stockton's around $400,000 now. So about, if we had a buyer that didn't have any closing costs, we have to ask her all of it from the seller. About how much would that be? Roughly, just a percentage or something.
2 to 3%. $8, $9, $10,000, depending on the type of loan. What's tricky about that question is the number of months that a lender collects for property insurance changes monthly depending on when the next tax bill is due. So sometimes when we're closing a loan, we only have to collect 1 month of property taxes. Sometimes 10, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Well, at $400,000, that's a hefty amount to pay. So when you're asking about closing costs, there's a little bit of variance there.
Yeah.
Do you have a max on what they can ask?
The maximum that the seller can pay on the closing cost?
Yeah.
Yes, it depends on the loan type and how much you put down when it's a conventional loan. So if the client is only putting 5% down payment, the maximum the seller can pay is 3% of the cost.
Interesting.
If they put more than that, it's 6%. If we flip the loan to a FHA loan, the maximum is 6%, which is pretty hefty. The thing you want to remember is, regardless of what the percentage is, it's really only the actual cost. So 3% might be $10,000, their cost might be only $7,000. You can only cover $7,000.
Okay, so.
You can't get money back.
Correct.
Yeah. So if you wrote it up, you should write it up a certain way that if the 3% exceeds what can be paid, then the seller gets that back or something like that, or?
Yes, it's either that or generally the lender, hopefully early enough, will try to be able to absorb that cost, maybe charge a loan fee and reduce the interest rate.
That's what I was going to bring up. Could you use the extra overflow funds to
Yes.
reduce the rate
Yes.
if possible.
Now, what happens a lot of times is closing cost credit doesn't come until the very end
Yeah.
because you're doing it for whatever negotiating reasons. But by that time, the loan is pretty set, and I have a hard time negotiating the rate because we're already almost closing.
Yeah.
So that does happen. But yes, the seller can contribute to the closing cost, all closing costs, recurring and non-recurring.
Now, in this market, which is March of, not March, we're in April already.
April, yes.
Of 2022. We're not seeing a lot of seller credits towards closing costs. We had it in the past, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and we could in the future. It could come back, and it surely will probably come back, but that remains to be
It's
seen.
not very common right
Yeah.
now.
And for those of you that can't remember all these numbers, call her.
I'd be happy to help.
Well, that was a great breakdown of closing costs from both the lender side, title side, recurring, non-recurring. A lot's involved with closing costs. So we definitely recommend you guys reaching out to Kathryn or another local lender here in the Stockton area realtors group. There's a lot of great lenders who can help explain it to your buyers. Anything else to add before we wrap up?
I think we're good.
She's already confused me. I'm just gonna call her.
There you go.
All right, you guys, thanks so much for watching this week's Ask the Lender Show. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.